So in this last lesson, I'll reveal the key to get consistent great results with your brand. If you want to scale over 1 million per month consistently, pay attention to my vocabulary. I said consistently. It's very important that you want to do revenue consistently every month. And that's what I'm going to review in here. This is what I've learned over the past years, which has been key to get consistent results. So the key to consistent great results is we need to find winning ads consistently. Here I have a very clear image put in here to explain what I'm saying in here. So the old way is create new ads every couple of weeks. We find a winner, we scale it, and the ads fatigue and the profits shrink. And then we have to do it all over again and we're just in a hamster wheel. This, the first way we want to avoid, because at the end of the day, our results aren't consistent this way. So the new way to get consistent results is that we create new ads weekly, we find a winner and we scale. The big difference is that we have an influx of new winning ads every week. I cannot emphasize the importance of this enough. If you do not get an influx of new winning ads each week, your current ads will fatigue and eventually your ads will die out and your revenue will drop again. If you want to have consistent results, you need to find new winning ads. Obviously, you have to find new winning angles, etc., etc. But you're asking right now, how do I do it? Well, the first way you can do it is you can hire a creative strategist. If you don't know what a creative strategist is, you can look it up on Google, but basically to summarize it, it's someone who is going to be responsible for getting an influx of new ads every week. That person can give you a batch of like 5 to 8 angles each week with different hooks, etc., etc. And that person can also reach out to content creators, make a script, talk to copywriters, and I'll dive deep into how you can find the creative strategist and what that person does later in the module 5. But of course, when you're just starting out and when you're just beginning, and I did it as well when in the first years, it was jack of all trades. It was just me, myself, and I did everything from A to Z. So, but the creative strategist is just an option whenever you're already doing, let's say, over 100K per month, you want to have consistent results, you gotta outsource it and someone has to be on this full time. But obviously in the beginning, I don't expect you to have a creative strategist, but then the creative strategist will be you. So his responsibilities will be yours. The second way how you can do it is get content creators who have made winning ads on a contract. I have made this point before. We do not want to find content creators endlessly. It's a lot of effort to find content creators, reach out to them, ask their budget, get their WhatsApp, give them a script, send them out the product. It's a lot of effort. So what we want to do, our goal is to find consistent content creators which you can use a lot of times. Most of my winning ads personally, which I've done millions of dollars of revenue with, is with just one single content creator. If you want to talk about high ROI task, find a winning content creator and put him on a contract. That contract can be weekly, you can pay him monthly, you can pay him per video, you can even pay him a commission. At the end, it's just about what is your ROI on it. And I can tell you, finding an ROI on a winning content creator is endless. If that person can deliver you 8 winning ads per month, you gotta imagine how much revenue you can get out of it. So again, to emphasize the point, new winning ads is key to consistent great results. So I wanted to add another point in here, which I've named already multiple times in this course, but I think it's gonna be very, very valuable for you. To end off this lesson, I wanted to answer the question, how do I make a winning ad? How do I spot a winning ad? How does a winning ad look? Because Alexander, you're talking the whole time about a winning ad, you can find winning ads consistently, but what is a winning ad? Well, I'll dive deeper into it right now. So as I'm on my computer right now, as you see, I'm on HighSmile again. I'm showing HighSmile throughout this course a lot of times, as you saw, but HighSmile is just the king of creatives, so I just want to use them as a case study in here. So as you see, I'm on their ad library and I'm gonna scroll through their ad library because you gotta see what kind of ads they're all running on Facebook. And obviously that's very valuable to see what they're doing. And I already explained before in this course how you can spot a winning ad, but basically if you paid attention, you can see that this one is getting scaled 47 times and used by 47 different ad sets. So you can know that this one is winning. So if we look at this video, I'm gonna put the audio off, but if you're gonna look at this video, we can look at it and look at what kind of video they are running. As you see, it's very high dopamine, a lot of different shots. And that's my first tip which I can give you on creatives. As you see on here, if we study this particular creative, the thing they do very well is called front loading. I think I've named it before in this course, but to repeat myself, front loading basically means that you get the best part, the hook, out of the video, you get it to the front of the video. So if, let's say here, show you a result where you're your teeth become from yellow, become white by mixing purple into it, right? That's their whole hook. Well, they immediately begin by starting the video with this particular hook. When making creatives, you gotta realize that your hook is the very most important one. You're probably thinking right now, what is a hook? Well, a hook is basically your first 3 seconds of your ad plus your thumbnail. If you're scrolling on TikTok, you experience yourself, right? You're just scrolling, and only if the first 3 seconds are hitting and interesting you, then you watch the whole video, right? Or if you lose them in the middle, you don't watch to the end. So the key here is having a good hook where you grab their attention immediately. Have a scroll stopper. We call that a scroll stopper. Basically means whenever you're scrolling through Facebook or TikTok, they have to stop scrolling because their attention is being grabbed by your video. And obviously, when you have grabbed their attention with the first 3 seconds, you gotta make the whole video as interesting as possible. Throughout A to Z, you gotta get them hooked. How do we do that? You gotta realize that most people are dopamine junkies. So you just gotta keep a lot of dopamine hits throughout the video. You cannot just keep one still shot for 20 seconds straight like we're doing right now with the course. Obviously, I expect you to have a little bit higher attention span, but most people that are scrolling through Facebook or TikTok, their attention span is very, very low. So you gotta keep their attention throughout the whole video, and then in the ending, you gotta hit them with a call to action. A stop now, they have to go to the website right now. And one more note on creatives. Unfortunately, there is no one size fits all to have a perfect creative, because each product, like I said before, a sports ball or a teeth whitening product, a portable blender, all need very different creatives which works for that particular brand. For example, for clothing, a lot of times image ads work very well, but for my particular ball, the glowing ball, it's hardly gonna work with image ads. We focus more on video ads because that shows our products very well. So unfortunately, there is no one size fits all, and it's just a matter of testing. I want to close off this lesson with an action point. Get 5 to 10 different angles from your particular product right now which you are selling. What do I mean with 5 to 10 different angles? I'm not talking about 5 to 10 different hooks. I'm talking about completely different angles. For example, when I'm selling a ball, I could target the parent angle, I could target the children angle, I could target a gift angle, I could target a freestyle angle, you name it. Try completely different angles, and within that angle, use different 3-second hooks. Because there's a chance that your creative is perfect, that it's a great creative, it could be a winning one, but your first 3 seconds are just not hitting. And it will be a waste, right? You would have a great video, let's say from 5 to the last second of your video is great, but people don't reach that middle or end of the video. That's why it's so important that your video has to be great from A to Z. So that's it for this lesson. I'm sure you find this one valuable. I want to emphasize on it again. If you want to have great, consistent results, you need to find winning ads consistently. So you see you in the next module. Ciao. So welcome to module 5, building your own money-making team. In this module, you go from a hustler to a boss. As I said in the beginning of this course as well, in the beginning I did everything myself. From customer support to media buying to packing the orders myself, shipping them out, you name it, the website, I did everything from A to Z. Was that smart? No, but I did learn all the basics from it. Do I recommend you to do it? No. But what I can recommend you is that before you're going to build a team, that you do know the basics of everything. We are not Tesla, so you do not need a PhD for anything. You do not need a university degree for anything. So everything you are going to do in your e-commerce business, media buying, customer support, whatever you want to do. So I think it's very important that you do know the basics of everything before you're going to outsource it. Just because if you do not know the basics about something, you do not know if they are going to do it well or if they are doing it wrong. So in lesson 1, I'm going to show you how your ideal team could look. To show that, I have in front of me a whimsical, again, so I can draw and visually explain it to you. But before we move into this whimsical, I do want to emphasize on a very important point. I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they want to have a team just to have a team. I know it sounds very cool to say, hey, I've outsourced everything, I'm living the 4-hour work week, I'm going to Bali, going to drink on my coconut there, sit on the beach, and I outsource everything and hope everything goes well. But you do not want to have a team just to say you have a team. The goal for you to have a team is to delegate tasks, to free up your own time, to get you out of the business, so you can get a helicopter view over the business, so you can focus on the important things that make money on the long term. you doing the customer support doesn't bring in any money. For you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, it's one of the lowest ROI tests you can do. So I'm gonna show you right now how my team looks, but of course it isn't perfect yet, it's a work in progress. So just remember that building a team is just a process. Of course, you're not gonna hire everyone in the first day, you're just gonna delegate it one by one. For example, if you're just gonna start out, first thing you're probably gonna hire is a customer support agent, then you're gonna maybe hire a media buyer, then maybe you need a developer, you need a email marketer, and it's just a work in progress. So you do have to remember that you have to pay your team. It's not free. You do have to pay their salaries, and it's a lot of overhead each month which you do have to pay. So let's dive in right now how I want your team to look. So here in front of us we have our your own money-making team. We're gonna start off with you, obviously. We have you. We're gonna make you gold again. We're gonna make you gold. This is you, and you own the business, right? This is, by the way, how my team looks right now. In no scenario, this is the ideal way to have it structured, but this is how I've structured it, and in my opinion, in my experience, this is one of the most efficient ways to structure a e-commerce brand. So right below me, we have a COO. COO basically means, for the people that don't know what it is, it's basically an operational officer. It's an operational officer which handles all the day-to-day tasks. So I don't have to be in the communication the whole day, and I could take some days off or focus on some other business if I want to. Below the COO, you can have a customer support, CS means customer support manager. Someone who is gonna be responsible for all the customer support. Below the customer support manager, we obviously have customer support agents. I call this CS agents. And this is probably the first thing you want to outsource. You'll probably start outsourcing your customer support agents first. What I can recommend you to do is, if you have a very good customer support agent, you can promote that person to a customer support manager when you're scaling up. Of course, that person needs to be capable of it, and then you can hire more customer support agents, and that particular manager is gonna manage that team. Below the operational officer, we have a CMO. CMO is basically a marketing officer. I know it's very fancy terms, but it sounds good. This person is going to be responsible for the whole marketing strategy. So there will probably be media buying on Facebook, Google, Pinterest, and everything that has to do something with the marketing side of things. Below the marketing manager, we have a creative strategist. And this one I already emphasized in a previous lesson. A creative strategist is someone who is going to be responsible for getting in the right creatives. And that particular creative strategist is going to be responsible for the content makers. He is also going to be responsible for the copywriters. He's also going to be responsible for the video editors. So this particular creative strategist has a lot of responsibilities because he has everything that has to do with creative. It's going to be his responsibility. As you see, this person is key to getting winning ads, like we discussed before. And obviously this whole channel and the other channels that I'm gonna draw in the beginning is you, jack of all trades, just me, myself and I. You're gonna do everything, but of course I'm just drawing it here so you understand what the goal is to delegate. This is basically the channel which is gonna be responsible for the whole marketing, so that's the money making channel, of course. So here on the right side we can add another, which is of course optional, but I do recommend it to have, email and SMS marketing. This can be an agency or can be a particular person. This is how I've structured my team right now. I want to make something clear before we move on with the team, is that there is a difference between core team players and normal team players. Core team players are basically people who are in the inner circle, you can sort of call it, and the ones that are C-level executives, manager roles. So who is the core team in this part? I'm gonna make it blue. For sure, the Chief Operation Officer is blue. Is gonna be a core team player. Chief Marketing Officer is gonna be a core team player. The CS Manager is gonna for sure be a core team player. And the Creative Strategist is also gonna be a core team player. What I found very important in building a team is delegating responsibilities. As you see it in here, I have delegated a lot of responsibilities. The CMO is responsible for the Creative Strategist, the CS Manager is responsible for the customer service agents, and the Chief Operation Officer is responsible for all the day-to-day and for the rest of the people. And what I also wanted to add in here is that the Chief Operation Officer is key in here because she or he also does the communication. Within all the day-to-day, of course, is the communication as well. He or she also talks to the supplier or agents. Another optional role is you can add an assistant in here, which it can be to you or to anyone in the team. Any core player can have an assistant. You can have an assistant, and that can just handle all your small tasks. So again, this is how my team looks right now. And of course, this is just a work in progress, like I said multiple times, and I'm gonna expand it more and more as we grow. As I said in the beginning of the lesson, when you implement such a team where you're delegating tasks and people are having responsibilities over certain departments, what you do then is that you move from hustler to boss, which is very important. We don't want to be the hustler forever. At the end of the day, if you are going to be handling each department, you are going to be working the whole day, which you're still going to be, of course, but you will be handling tasks which do not bring in money on the long run. Of course, doing media buying right now can bring in money on the short term, but in the long run, at the end of the day, your biggest worth is in having the macro brand vision, having a helicopter view, and bringing on ideas which the team can execute. For example, if you're just selling in Europe and you want to expand in the UK or the USA, someone has to handle that expansion. You can delegate that to the team, but the only thing you have to do is you can come up with the ideas and the team has to execute it. So one of the biggest lessons I learned in my career is that if you're going to be in the day-to-day task and sitting on your laptop like this the whole day, the thing is that you're gonna miss opportunities that are around you. Other business opportunities next to e-commerce, other ventures, other new products, other new markets. If you're in your day-to-day the whole day, if you're doing media buying, doing customer support, you are not seeing any opportunities outside of what you're doing right now. So in the next lesson, I'm gonna show you where you can find these A players, and that one's also could be very valuable. But I wanted to close off this lesson with a very important question to you. Do you own the business or does the business own you? So lesson 2, the place to find A players. In the previous lesson, I showed you a whole team monogram of all the team players you could be looking for. And right now you're probably asking, where do I find these players? Well, let's dive right in. So the first place you can find the best talent, in my opinion, is gonna be Upwork. Upwork.com, I already showed it before in a previous lesson, but Upwork is great for any kind of freelancer you're looking for, or any full-time role, part-time role, doesn't matter. You can find A to Z on here. I'm talking about developers, customer support agents, media buyers, email marketers. It doesn't really matter what you're looking for. In my opinion, if you're looking for team players in e-commerce, Upwork is the best place to look for. So right now we're on Upwork, make an account. This is the first thing I would recommend to you. Make an account so you can hire people. And let's say we are looking for customer support agents. I can just press in this search bar, I can press in a customer support agent, or I can press in customer support or customer service, whatever you want. CS means the same. And as you see, I can find tons of people in here from literally A to Z, because you have some people who charge $2 an hour, $1 an hour even, and you also have people who charge above $10 an hour. And obviously, the more you pay, usually the higher quality, the more experience they have. But that doesn't necessarily correlate with each other, because I've seen a lot of times that I've experienced before as well that someone was very expensive, but someone who was $5 an hour was much better than that particular person. So then you're asking, how much do I actually have to pay them? Well, that's up to you, how much your budget is. So for example, right now, if we're talking about customer support agents, I usually pay them between $4 and $10 an hour. But of course, the salary and on what basis it is it salary per month? Is it per hour? That's very dependent per role. So Upwork is a great place to find any A players. Upwork is the first one, note it for sure, make an account. Upwork, you can find anything on there. And the second way how you can find very good talent is gonna be onlinejobs.ph. Here you will find anyone that's from Philippines. And in my personal opinion, from my experience, the hardest working people out there, I don't want to discriminate, but hardest working people out there are Philippine people. I've just tested so many different people, and right now my whole team is built on Philippines. Of course, not everyone is from the Philippines, but I've just seen that the Philippine people have such a great mindset and just such a work ethic that I just like to build on it. So on online jobs, you'll mainly find Philippine people, and same with Upwork, you'll find anything from A to Z, but mainly Philippine people who are usually in general a bit cheaper than people from the Western world. And the third way I want to show you how you can find freelancers is gonna be Fiverr.com. Obviously, this one I've showed already a couple of times in this course, and Fiverr, in my opinion, is great if you are looking for people who just do a one-time job. If you want to find long-term talent for just long-term positions, I wouldn't look on Fiverr, but I would use Fiverr, for example, if you are looking for a video editor or something, or just a one-time task like a Photoshop or anything, logo design. But I wouldn't look for long-term talent on Fiverr. But that's just, of course, from my personal experience. I have seen it before that there's also a lot of talent on there, which you could also hire full-time. And the last place which I find a great place where you can hire people is gonna be TopTal. So TopTal is toptal.com. Basically, you're seeing it on the homepage already. You can hire the top 3% of freelance talent. So this one is very underrated. I've never seen it in any YouTube video or somewhere that they are promoting TopTal. Basically, TopTal is like you see it in here. You will hire the best of the best. So they basically filter out from every 100 candidates. They filter only the 3 people who are the best fit. So naturally, you'll only find people who have experience at companies like Apple, Amazon. A lot of them have worked at, like, as you see, this guy worked at AT&T, he worked at Goldman Sachs. Was previously at SpaceX. So as you see, you will find very experienced people, but do know if you're gonna hire on this platform, it's gonna be very, very expensive. So in my opinion, Upwork and online jobs are the 2 best marketplaces to look for, but I did want to add Fiverr and TopTal just so you can look on there as well. But I want to close this off with one particular lesson I've learned throughout my career in hiring. In this particular industry we're in, which is e-commerce brand building, there is not something which you cannot teach someone. You gotta realize, the things that we're doing in here do not require a higher PhD degree. A lot of things can be taught to people and it's all very straightforward. So if you can teach anything to anyone, what I'm personally looking for in a person is someone with work ethic and a great ambition to succeed. So keep this lesson in mind. There's not something you cannot teach your team players. And that's it for this lesson. I'm sure you found this one valuable and I'll see you in the next lesson. Ciao. So in this lesson, I'm gonna answer the question which I get a lot, which is, should I hire an agency or should I hire in-house? Well, I'm gonna show you on a drawing. Well, here's where we left off in the first lesson, our own money-making team. And a lot of people probably then ask me like, hey, Alexander, we have this CMO, marketing manager, where we have like, we have 5 people under this operational manager who does the marketing. Couldn't I just hire a SMMA, that stands for social media marketing agency, or just a marketing company who does the media buying? That would be much easier, right? Well, I'm gonna answer that question for you in this lesson. For example, there are also, by the way, agencies for customer support. There are agencies for email and SMS marketing. There are tons of agencies for that. And there's always, should I work with an agency or shall I hire in-house? And I'm gonna draw that out for you right now. On the right side, I have here prepared agency versus in-house. So obviously we have you, we always start with you, and you are the boss. So you are the boss, obviously. You decide on what you do. We make you yellow as always. Gold, we can call you guys gold right now. Let's say in this particular marketing scenario, we have, and we could go with an agency or we go in-house. We would have an in-house media buyer. And in the second scenario, the second option is that we have a agency, which is a company, right? It's a company instead of a person under you. And of course, these are 2 options which you can go for. And then is the question, which option do you choose? Well, both have pros and both have cons. The big pro with having people in-house is obviously that you are the boss and they belong to your company. So you can deploy them everywhere you want and they're on your time schedule. And that of course also connects to the agency, which is their con, which is that they do not belong to your company and they are a company under you, which is on their own schedule. But a very big pro with agencies is that if you work with an agency, they most of the times do have the expertise in there. If you're working, for example, in this particular scenario, when you're working with an in-house media buyer, and there are some policy changes, or there are some changes to Facebook, their ad strategies, there are changes to media buying strategies. A particular agency would already know from it just because they've learned from their previous clients and are just up to date to the current market conditions. If you're working with someone in-house, most of the times you have to teach them everything and they are not up to date to most market conditions. Also, another big pro with working with an agency is that you do not have to hire all the particular people under them. For example, you do not have to hire the copywriter, for example, in this particular scenario. You do not have to hire the video editors. But if you do everything in-house, if you hire an in-house media buyer, you do have to hire all these particular positions yourself. Of course, that can also be a pro because that's just a one-time job, hiring these people, and you can use them forever. So hiring in-house people or working with an agency can both be great options. So from my personal experience, I always prefer to work with in-house people. The reason for that is because I think there's a conflict of interest if there's a company working underneath my company, which they also want to make money, I want to make money. Obviously, there's a conflict of interest in there. Because obviously the interest from the agency is to make as much money for their own company. Obviously when you're hiring in-house people, they want to make as much money as possible as well, but with them it's aligned with the whole company vision. So due to that conflict of interest, I always prefer to hire in-house people. But does this mean that I never work with agencies? No, of course not. For some positions I do work with agencies. For example, I have worked with a media buying agency a long time, but I chose to do everything in-house. So I do believe there are phases to everything. For example, right now when you're very busy with hiring new positions and you do not have time right now to interview everyone, you could work with an agency temporarily. And then of course move later to an in-house team. It doesn't mean that if you work with an agency that you have to work forever with them. And for some positions, of course, it's better to work with an agency. For example, I wouldn't do your bookkeeping in-house. I would rather just work with the accountancy office, which has all the expertise in-house, so I can work with them and I outsource the accounting. But for some positions, of course, I'd rather have it in-house. For example, the customer support and the marketing I'd rather have in-house. But that's just a personal preference. Like I said, there are phases to everything. Just choose whatever feels best right now. And of course, compare the prices. And if you really cannot hire someone in-house right now, then you could go for an agency. So I'm sure I answered your question in this lesson. And in the next lesson, it's going to be very valuable because we're going to go over how you can structure your team so it works on autopilot and it's going to print money for you while you're asleep. See you in the next lesson. Ciao. So you've arrived at the final lesson of Module 5, Activate Autopilot. In this lesson, I can show you how you can completely move out of the day-to-day, have a macro vision and focus on the important things in the business. Where we left off last time is, of course, with making your own money-making team, how the team is gonna look. So basically, if you want to yourself to move out of the day-to-day, I want to emphasize more time the importance of having a good, actually great operational manager. This particular person can handle all the day-to-day tasks, meaning communication, everything that needs to be, a lot of administration tasks. So for example, back in the days when I did everything myself, I just went for a 10-minute drive to the gym and my WhatsApp was again completely full. My Slack was full, my WeChat was full, and I just couldn't focus on anything besides day-to-day operations. And that's why I want to emphasize the importance of a good operational manager who takes over your day-to-day tasks. Like I said before, if you are on your laptop the whole day, just so focused on the day-to-day, you cannot focus on the macro vision of the brand. Your focus should be what kind of products can we add? What kind of platforms should we expand to? Should we expand to new countries like the UK or the USA? And you should let your team execute on your plan. Your time is just worth more than doing customer support or doing media buying. I am telling you. And besides that, who likes doing customer support? And next to that, I want to introduce another person in this whole monogram which can also automate your business even more. And that person is called a HR manager. If for the people that don't know what a HR manager is, basically I can make this one in a different color. Let's make this one purple or pink, but basically HR stands for human resources. It's basically the person who is responsible for the hiring and interviewing of people. You can also let the operational manager be the HR manager. If that's not possible, then I would hire an external HR manager. Because otherwise, you are growing your company, you're doing more and more revenue, you are scaling up, and you need more people, right? And someone has to do the interviews. I mean, who's gonna interview all the new talent and filter out all those applicants? And if you're gonna do it, believe me, you're gonna be the whole day in interviews, interviewing people, and you'll get sick of it, believe me. Also, another point on team building. So from my experience, it's very important that you delegate responsibilities. For example, if you do not have clear responsibility, who does what, nobody's going to do anything. You gotta realize, not everyone is like you in the company. I would give very clear instructions to each core team player of what their responsibilities are. For example, a customer support manager, their responsibility is handling the whole customer support department. What's included in the customer support? Hiring new agents, interviewing new agents, for example, handling disputes, handling your Trustpilot, handling anything that's related to emails or anything that's customer support related. If you do not delegate your responsibilities well, the people in your team are always going to look at someone else to do the job. So to close off this lesson, I want to repeat myself one more time. Do not delegate tasks, delegate responsibilities. Next module I called secrets, and I called it secrets for a reason, because you won't find this on YouTube. You won't find this whole course on YouTube, but especially these secrets I filled it out on here. These were all my biggest insights which I learned in the past years in e-commerce. These are all golden nuggets I am 100% sure you won't find on YouTube. So see you in the next module. Ciao!